This conference will now be recorded.
Might be handled like public order before we get started. Mute your microphone. Otherwise, the background noise is space is limited to requirements regarding access, but members of the public who should attend this meeting by phone may call 1-866-899-4679, access 87026. They're saying they no.
Excuse me, John. Since there's review, I would suggest maybe moving the butts closer.
Look, John, just turn it up. Can everyone hear me now?
Somewhat.
No. How's that? All right. Okay. We'll continue on. Members of the public attend this meeting by phone may call the following conference call number at 1-866-899-4679, access code 817-026-717. Members of the public who use the meeting platform may access the meeting remotely using the smartphone, tablet, or mobile. GoToMeet.me/town/Tilton/Selectmen. This information can also be found on our website at nh.org under meeting, schedule, and agendas of the Selectmen. This time I'd like to call to order. Roll call vote, please. We'll start with Eric.
John Fire present.
John. Pat, I'm present. Here.
Fog present, 2 dogs.
Thank you. And Joe is, I don't know if Joe's on. Joe, are you online? Joe's home sick and he said he may get online. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, he's here. All right. At this time, we're gonna open with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have the minutes of February 11 for approval. Has everybody gotten a chance to read them? If not, we'll wait.
Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity yet. I apologize.
Okay. How about you?
I haven't.
Okay, we have two here that have not had the chance to read the minutes of February 11th. We'll entertain pushing them forward to next week to approve them.
Make a motion to approve the minutes, February 11th, next week.
I have a second.
Second, Ken.
All right. Motion made and second, and just move the minutes to next week. Approval of February 11th. Call a vote. Oh, any discussion? Call a vote.
What was the motion? I'm having trouble hearing your end of the table.
Okay, sorry. Move the motion, move the minutes to next week to
Okay.
approve. There's a couple people that didn't get to read them yet.
No problem, thank you.
Okay, sorry, Peter. All in favor? Roll call vote.
Ira, yes?
Ganlon, yes.
Constantino, yes.
Fogg, yes.
Jessamine?
His mic's off currently.
All right. So that we're gonna move the minutes to next week. Okay, next on our agenda is the land use coordinator, Leanne Moynihan, an update on code enforcement building inspector position. Leanne, you're up.
Oh,
Leanne.
so I actually want to just start with the building, the
So they get their occupancy. Can everybody hear Leanne on the TV?
She's in and out on me.
Okay. What, you're away from us at least 6 feet, so you can move your mask if you want to on that mic.
Okay, so I just reported that the police department inspection took place this afternoon, and it passed a couple minor, very minor things that I will pass along to town administrator. And it will get its certificate of occupancy. We're going to issue that. We'll do it in the morning. And no, we won't do it in the morning. Monday, Tim Javert is going to go through on Monday, and once Tim does his part and signs it, then you will be all set for a certificate of occupancy. As far as the building inspector, we have done one interview so far. We interviewed a gentleman on Wednesday, Jeannie and I did, and then we have 2 interviews scheduled for Tuesday. So hopefully we'll be able to at least get someone temporarily, if not get someone on a long-term basis fairly quickly. As far as short-term, we do have an issue, or I have an issue with short-term until we have someone or even find someone on a temporary basis. Right now, I believe the ordinance says that the selectmen appoint an inspector, or it actually says building inspector, not code enforcement, to enforce the ordinances. So we don't really have anyone to enforce the ordinances right now. So my issue is with zoning administration. If I were to have anything that I had a zoning issue with, I don't have a code enforcement officer or a building inspector to enforce that. So my question is if the selectmen would like to appoint me on a temporary basis to be the zoning administrator, code enforcement, until we have a permanent inspector.
What do you mean by zoning administrator? What kind of what?
Well, some towns have building inspectors that aren't as versed in zoning administration, meaning the zoning ordinances. They're more building inspectors, construction. You know, specifically, if we end up with someone on a temporary basis, it may be someone who has experience in construction but may not know our ordinances really well. You know, sign ordinances and setbacks and non-conformity and those type of issues that come up actually probably more often than inspection issues. So there's that overlap. Some towns give that responsibility, as you did in your ordinance, to enforce the ordinances to your building inspector. And some towns choose to get someone who's more versed in construction, and they can hire a separate zoning administrator, or it can fall in with the planning department. Because, you know, right now our planning department or land use department handles zoning. I handle zoning and planning now anyway. some towns that have a building inspector, the building inspector handles the zoning meetings and goes to the zoning meetings and testifies to why they've either denied a building permit or see an issue. So at least temporarily, I think if I had the authority to direct and deny someone from getting a permit or from building or from putting up a sign or any violation, then that would be helpful, because I don't know that even if we get someone temporarily to do inspection, that they'll be really versed in that. I mean, I can continue to do it and advise them and have them sign or administer it. It's just, it might be easier, because I don't know when we'll get someone as questions come up. If the board would like to do it that way, that's my suggestion. And then going forward, we can talk about whether we want to separate those jobs and put zoning administration in with the land use and leave the inspector as just an inspector. I guess it depends on the skills of the person that we end up finding for that job. I mean,
So typically, are they, in other towns, are they zoning administrator and building inspector separate? Or are they?
some are, and some are not. I mean, it depends on the size of the town. I've seen job postings to hire just zoning. Wyndham, New Hampshire right now is looking for just a zoning administrator, and that person would just be responsible for doing the zoning board meetings and doing the zoning administration. But, like many jobs, everything goes hand in hand. You can't have a building inspector issuing permits if they're not talking to the zoning administrator, not talking to land use and planning. They're not clearly defined jobs, because it's all in land use. So it certainly isn't always a one or the other type of job. But where we don't have an inspector right now, it leaves us a little bit. And it is written in your ordinance that that's the way the authority is. It's hard for us to administer anything out of our office right now. Even if I get someone, if I get Al to come down on a temporary basis, to do an inspection here and there, I still don't have anyone doing zoning administration. So that's my issue, and that was a possible solution. So that's where we're at, though, as far as the search, and hopefully it won't be a long.
So to clarify, you're still looking for a short-term code enforcement, but in the interim, if we appointed you as zoning administration, you could take care of some of the issues that are arising short-term.
Correct.
And then in the long term, we want somebody permanent.
Right.
To fill that position.
Right.
Does the board have any questions for Leanne? We'll start with Peter.
No, I'm good with what she's proposing.
John?
So is it, when you say administrator, is that zoning enforcement?
I think a zoning administrator would be the enforcer of the zoning ordinances, yes.
So who's doing the zoning I'm confused because we don't have that title. So how was it covered previously?
By your inspector. Technically by your inspector. I did a lot of that work with the inspector because he's in my department. So we'd work together on zoning administration. He was really the authority. So, we obviously would discuss ordinances, although Al had been here a long time. So he was a little more versed with the ordinances. He knows the sign ordinances. He understands the setbacks, on areas that are gray, because there are a lot of gray areas in your ordinance, like many, we would confer on it. He would refer it to me, then I would give it back to him for, that we would decide together.
So to make sure people are building within the setbacks on the plans and all that?
Most of the time, even with Al, if he had anything that was a zoning issue, he would give it to me to review, and then we would discuss it. We agreed. Someone was looking to build, I'll give an example, an accessory apartment. There's guidelines to how many square feet you can have, and, it has to be owner occupied, and we generate letters for that, or if we were denying a building permit, we work together on those. Inspectors aren't usually versed in all that.
Reviewing the plans to make sure they fit our ordinances.
Right.
So how about if somebody, that they were building something that was a complaint saying they're not within 20 feet, who would do that field check?
He would go out and do the field check, and then I would probably write the letter, which he would tell me where it was, and I would write the letter, and sometimes I'd have him sign it, I would draft it for him, and then he would sign it. So, we check the ordinance, I would know what article to reference that they're in violation of. So on violations, we work together. So I guess if you look at it as, a building, and some building inspectors are only looking at building codes, right? So, I don't really know very much about building code, how the rail is, whether the electricals are correct, or, the foundations are put in correctly. Those are building codes, and building inspectors tend to know building codes. And then there's zoning ordinances, which are what you're talking about, all the other things, which kind of fall more in the land use, because you're reviewing planning, I'm, advising the zoning board. So that tends to be more on the other side. So again, it goes hand in hand, but depending on how versed on those ordinances the person that ends up in that job is, it's usually difficult. They have to work with land use. So at least temporarily, we need to be able to, to respond to those questions,
Okay. I think I understand.
So that's where I'm at. Just on a positive note, like I said, that Al was kind enough to come down today to do the police department inspection. And we did that this afternoon. Took a little while, took an hour or two to go through that building. But he also at the same time did a couple urgent inspections. So we are not allowing anything that's urgent to fall behind. We're trying to find a way. Honda was one that wants to obviously keep moving. And I had a couple, COs up at Rolling Hills we got done today with the help of Al. So, we're trying to make sure that nobody's left. But it's all the other stuff that needs to be done.
Eric, do you have some questions?
No, I just want to make sure you think you can do it and maintain all your other, because I'm going in the spring, so I'm sure it's going to start getting busy.
Right. Well, as far as zoning, I do it now.
Right.
As you know, you were on zoning. I mean, I do all the zoning. Our building inspector never went to the zoning board meetings, and some of that was just because he wasn't available evenings. But so I don't think that is a problem. I mean, it's like everything else. Yeah, we're busy. We're actually really busy, but we do what we have to do. And
Okay, I'm good.
I don't think we're going to hire a zoning administrator. So
No, I know what you do
yeah.
for planning, and the zoning, I don't know so much what you do.
So we'll make a motion to appoint Leanne Moynihan as interim zoning administrator on a temporary basis.
I guess until a permanent inspector is hired, and then you can review it at that point. If that inspector is going to be able to.
I mean, you can just leave it open like that.
Or just like
Yeah.
that. And then we'll review it later. So the motion is to appoint Leanne Moynihan as an interim zoning administrator on a temporary basis, period.
I'll second that, Scanlon.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Peter,
I'm good.
John, Eric,
I'm good.
Joe.
He's off.
Oh, he's off, okay. And I have no discussion, so we'll roll call vote. Peter,
Fogg, yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Eric,
Ira, yes.
Constantino, yes. That's unanimous vote. So
Thank you.
You'll be the zoning administrator.
I just have one last question on the hiring of the inspector. And Ms. Jean can chime in. I assume the selectmen are in agreement if we find someone on an interim basis to doing a type of contract or getting someone temporarily until we find someone permanent, right? That's obviously an option on the table. And we can go forward with pursuing.
Yeah.
I believe that last week that we asked the board to go, we asked that you and Jeannie would find somebody on a temporary basis, on an immediate temporary basis to fill that void, because we have inspections coming up on several things, and then on a more full-time, we would go out and search. Are you on? Yes,
Yeah, I hear you.
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I was just wondering if it was working. I'm
Okay.
good.
Anybody have any more to add to what Leanne's question is? No, okay.
Yeah,
Did I
because
answer
just,
that?
yeah, because we do have a couple options for temporary. I did reach out to Dari in Belmont. He has an inspector that's full-time that, if we get in a bind, he certainly said we'd reach out to them on, we'd have to figure out how we're gonna do that. Like I said, Al came down today. Maybe now he wasn't sure he hadn't started his new job. It was last week. Now it seems like maybe he can, maybe shoot down here and there. He's gonna have some free time. Maybe that's a possibility. So hopefully we'll have something soon. We won't have to do that, but, okay,
That would
that's
be
all I
great.
have. I won't tell you if I know.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liam. Appreciate it.
What about Luke? You can make him some.
Yeah, make him the inspector. I'll be the
Be nice, you-
one. We gotta go.
Does he type?
Yeah. Most inspectors don't.
He needs thumbs.
Okay, next on the agenda is the selectmen's report, and first up is Eric.
I have nothing today, so next.
Next is John Scanlon.
Not a lot going on. Jim Ingles, was his last meeting was, Tuesday night. And, I thanked him in behalf of the selectmen. I figured everybody was grateful to him and, for all that he's done. And, so I guess he's closing on his house and he's moving on. See what else is going on. The school district made some decisions, attended that meeting. As to opening the school, I commented that they're having, spending a lot of time figuring out how far apart they're gonna put everybody. And that my biggest concern is, one of my biggest, is are the kids getting an education? We're trying to get them back to school and all this stuff. Are they monitoring, making sure that, and apparently the kids are not doing that great as it's set up right now. So that's, a big concern for us that, we just don't, we fail these kids. Let them go out to the world. Tough one. So we got a message from Juliet today. I believe it was the passing of the boundaries and that. I think Jeannie would probably have some of that.
On the island, you mean?
Yeah.
Do you need to get that information? Are you gonna take that after the time? Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to yield the rest of my to that. But that's about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
better. Thank you. Okay,
That was Peter's. I don't know what sound is coming, but that was from Peter's.
What was that, Tim?
There's some noise coming in from your mic a minute ago.
It was off.
yeah, it was still some type of feedback
Okay.
coming. Yeah,
All right.
Peter, you have anything on selectmen's reports?
Yep, about the only thing, the small claims issue that came before both the sewer and the Board of Selectmen, the sewer commission is working on the response. Just so you're updated.
Okay. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
I have a couple of items. We met this morning with Leanne on the housing standard ordinance, and she's gonna meet with the select board in the next few weeks whenever she can get into. There's a couple of housekeeping items on the language to change, and that comes before the board to do that. The next on the list is the senior center stove. Believe it or not, that's almost 60 years old. Imagine our Garland 10 burner stove. It's not heating properly, so I had to call out somebody to come up in it. The thermostat is within the knob, so they're looking for a pot for it now. But in order to correct it, if you want the food to come out standard commercial policy, if it needs to be 300 degrees or 200 degrees, you need to set it at 300. It's about 75 degrees off right now. We'll get it fixed though, but I was surprised that it's 60 years old and it's running like a charm. It's great. We have to make a decision. We did on our emails, you remember, I wrote it down on the paper just so I wouldn't forget. On candidates night, there was one of our candidates that had expressed a desire to have that in person versus a virtual. Our moderator had already weighed in on that and said that he would prefer virtual. And then there was an email thread going back and forth. We said that we would discuss it and bring it up on tonight, whether or not the board wanted to reinvent the wheel and say, let's have it in person at the school, which is next week. We don't even know if there's a school, if the school is available that night. However, we did say we would bring it up. So the last email was from, I was wondering if you had the opportunity to discuss changing the candidates meeting to a more appropriate venue, having it as an open meeting at the high school gym or similar would bring those who cannot view on video and would also have the candidates come face to face with everyone in a safe area when social distancing would not be a concern. I know that the meeting is scheduled for next week, but I feel it's an important aspect of having our community to come out and see who they are voting for and having what the candidates have to say. You want me to say thank you? Who wrote this? Robert Yanity. Does anybody want to comment and bring up a discussion on this? Go ahead, John.
One of the issues is that in order to use the high school gym, we have to go through the school board to get it. They have to lay out the blue tarps on the floor to do it, pay for the janitor. We also have to make arrangements for social distancing for people who do not have masks and rope off a separate area because it is a school and it's a school rule on mask wearing and that. So it's a little bit more involved than just like switching it. So there's at this point, there's nothing that I can see that we could do, and the added expense as well as having a detail officer for that and other people to help, guide people in. It's causes its own issues there that could not be resolved before next week. Sure. I don't know if anybody else has anything.
Eric, do you want to weigh in on
I think it's I think it's a lot of work to do in a short amount of time. If there was a real chance, but the hoops that we have to go through to get permission to use the school, I think just make it too difficult to do. And I understand what he's trying to accomplish by being able to meet people face to face. But right now, I trying to meet as few people face to face as I can, because it's outside my comfort bubble, if you will. But I think they can still see us online, and I understand that, but I believe that most people have access or know someone that have access. I haven't, in the almost a year that I've been a selectman, I haven't heard of someone saying that they couldn't attend a meeting or a function or something because they couldn't get access. So I think we should keep it the way it's planned to go, that Mr. Mitchell has put a lot of time and effort into.
Okay. Peter, would you like to comment on it, or?
I like the idea. It's too short a time frame. I did a quick check with NHIAA. It looks like there's no basketball games. Just that would have been the fly in the ointment, but it does take a fair amount of prep. So I don't think we can pull it off nicely if we try to do it by next Thursday. That's just my opinion.
I'm going to try to abstain from, this is first for me, other than the fact that in the past, when we've had candidates night, they've not all been well attended. And I'll just leave it at that for now. But I am a candidate, so I can go and do it now. I'm going to open this to the public for public comment. So if there's anybody out there that would like to comment on this, we do have some candidates online, so I would love their feedback. We all would.
Sure. So can you guys hear me? You're good? Yeah, okay, it's on. So in thinking about it, I think the issue that you'd run into with the school board is the fact that they are limiting even parents at attending athletic events. So I believe the senior parents are the only ones who are allowed to attend athletic events. So I have a feeling that even if you were able to pull it off, it would be a really, really hard sell to try and have a larger number of people than they're allowing at high school athletic events.
Okay, and for the record, that's Scott Ruggles for the minutes.
Sorry about
Thank you.
that, Scott. Yep, 82 School Street in Tilton.
Okay, next person that speaks, please state your name, please, for the record, so that the minutes are accurate. Anybody else? Thank you, Scott. Nobody else?
Are there any phone?
Any phone callers?
There's no one on the phone.
Thank you, Tim. So it looks like that's consensus to keep it as is on the 23rd as a virtual meeting. I'm sorry. Okay, so it's February 24th at 7 p.m. and it's a virtual meeting. Peter, can you hear Jeannie?
Yeah, give a thumbs up.
No, cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So, Peter, did you get a copy of my report?
Okay.
I've got it up in front if that was what you're asking, yeah?
Yeah, because if you didn't get it, I would go through everything. But if you've got it, then I don't need to go through the FYIs unless you have
Right.
questions. Yeah, two action items. One, we got contacted by Homeland Security and Emergency Management. They want to know who Tilton's interim emergency management director will be. And the guessing was that he keeps the tower until we have a replacement.
That's good.
So I don't know if you want to vote on
Go ahead, Eric.
Is that allowed because he's technically not an employee of the town of Tilton?
That's what was recommended. I can check and see, but typically, I would change that.
I just want to make sure because
I can check.
we talked about, you know, the deputy chief being helping out with inspections, but because of the, it's not
And that's a
truly
big
to the town.
question.
I'm all for it. I just want to make sure it's not going to vote.
I will find out. I don't know if you want to say.
Make a motion to contingent on.
So I'll make the, did Peter have anything to say?
I'm fine.
I'll make a motion that pending that it is allowed that we recommend Chief Titar be our interim emergency management director for the town of Tilton.
I'll second that, Constantino. Discussion? Roll call vote. Peter?
Fogg, yes.
Yeah.
Scanlon, yes.
Byron, yes.
Constantino, yes. That's unanimous.
The next item on the action report was the Plan New Hampshire charrette is tentatively scheduled, or that's what we would like to schedule for, assuming the selectmen agree to it, June 11th, 14th, 16th, and the 19th. And it would be a combination of in-person social distancing and masks when it's an in-person and virtual. So that everyone is safe. So if the board agrees to these 4 days, and they're not all day, they're they are on the 11th of June. It would start at 10:15 in the morning and it would go to about 2 o'clock. And then on the 14th, it would be 3 to 4:30. It would be a listening session. It'd be virtual. On the 16th, from 6:30 to 8 in the evening, a second listening session. I think we're spacing it out to get people who can make it perhaps to one, but not the other. On the 16th, another virtual brainstorming session to develop recommendations. And that would be from 8:30 in the morning to 2:45. And then on the 19th of June at 3 o'clock, they would do a presentation of recommendations for the town of Tilton, and that would be using the Zoom technology. That first meeting on the 11th is the time when you would have a larger group of people, and there would be doing a tour of downtown, you know, checking out the different resources we have. So that is what they are recommending. And then if the board agreed to that, we'd like to be able to promote it at town meeting to get broader attendance, and, you know, suggesting that one of the selectmen announce it at the meeting and that we might have handouts, either the handout or just insert into the town report. So I'm looking for the board to weigh in on this and approve it if they agree with it. And I don't know if anyone has questions.
John, go ahead.
No, I think this is really great. This is what we, you know, and unfortunately, all the delays with everything and with COVID and all that, it's great to see that we're moving forward on working on our downtown area and what we'd like to see. Because when it's all over, we still got our downtown and we need to keep going on it. Yeah, I'm all for it. I think as much as we can build the enthusiasm, the better. I don't think we can put really flyers inside the town report, but to definitely be there, like we set them up, you know, like with the trash thing and things like that.
I'm just curious why, what are you thinking that it couldn't be put in the town report?
Because what we have is we usually have other people who want to display things at town meeting. whether it's recycling committees and stuff like
Oh,
that.
so
And
you're thinking that then they would want to put theirs in the.
theirs in the town report and all
Although
that.
this is a town-sponsored event. I
Right.
mean, that would be the difference.
Well, others,
Like the recycling committee had, they set up a thing before and, and just different people, but you have to set up a table like we've had before. I think the recycling was just inside at the back in the public area. But, just
well, we had
brainstorm.
that. John is right, I can't remember the committees that set up. In the past years, I don't think that they're really setting up that. The only one probably would want to do it this year would be Charette. So, go ahead, Eric.
I think that given the times where if you do set up a table, you're not, you're encouraging people not to be social distant. So I think that given the current times that we should allow something to be inserted or attached to the town report.
Peter, do you have an opinion on that one way or another?
I like the plan. Is my mic on?
Yes.
Okay, I've got lag. I like the plan. You're going to have people that are going to be picking up booklets as they come in regardless. So you can either put them in it ahead of time or have a pile of the reports and then a stack of the plancherette next to it. Either way, I'm happy with it. Doesn't matter.
I don't have given the circumstances and the COVID and everything, this year I think is a little bit different. I have no, either way is fine with me. It doesn't matter. I don't think we have that many people knocking down the doors to have it separated with committees wanting to display things anyway this year. So go forth and put them in. Go ahead.
All right, so I guess based on that, you're all set with the dates. And I will, once it's formalized, I will share with you the program once we get it printed out. And if I understand correctly, you're saying go ahead and put it in the town report?
I think everybody's pretty much,
It works.
consensus works, yeah.
I
Okay.
think, is there any way we could get like a little bit of a banner type sign too? Or something to promote it?
To let them know that this is coming up at the town meeting, you mean?
Yeah, just something to, as opposed to like a piece of paper, something that just sort of tells,
As you go into
so
town
you
meeting?
can see it and
Yeah.
build
Mhm. I'm very
some
excited
type of
about it.
enthusiasm on it. And maybe we can even put in the meeting.
Yes.
How about a variable message board?
Yeah. In town meeting, come on.
Yeah,
Right at the driveway.
There you go.
Put it down by the river. Just to advertise it.
It's something to look forward to, and it's a positive effect on Tilton, so that's really neat.
Okay. I don't need to go through the individual FYIs. Selectman Scanlon mentioned the call from Juliet this morning. The House Municipal and County Government had a public hearing on the Senate Bill 30 today. It passed out of committee 19-0. And now I'm working with the House to get it out of their committee and on the governor's desk so that it can be signed into law prior to town meeting. And in my contact in the House that I know, they feel confident that they can get this done. So
Nice.
I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch.
Yep.
we're pretty enthusiastic though.
Yeah. And Northfield was there today and supportive as well, so that's all looking good. In your board packet, I provided you all a copy of the town warrant, the final warrant. And I highlighted the warrant articles that you agreed to speak to at town meeting when you had your meeting with Chuck Mitchell a week or so ago. So I just wanted to put that in front of you. So you had that. And
Is it possible to, no, never mind.
You want to
I
switch?
have one that, so you, I'm gonna use the one that I have that has all the names because we only have a certain amount of mics at the table, so it's easy to the chair or the vice chair to look to see who's up next, and then we pass the mic down to who's up next. This way, we can't tell who's next.
oh, and I only gave that to you for now, for you to look at, to be able to, if you're wanting to start to prepare remarks. The first year I was here, if you recall, I kind of prepared some remarks for each of you on the warrant article. Some of you used it, some of you didn't. I think you have been doing this for many, many years and don't need me to do that for you. So, and last year, I think you didn't really use what I prepared. So I figured I'd give you highlight for you what you're going to speak to so you can prepare your remarks and be ready. When we get to town meeting, I will have that so everybody knows who's next.
Got it. All right. That'd be great. Wonderful.
And that's all I have.
Can we talk just briefly about the maintenance agreement? Is that possible?
Sure. Tim prepared that. I know, Tim, you might be listening and you can speak up if they have questions. This is the Eckhart and Johnson for the HVAC system, and it's a 5-year contract.
And then this is the people that actually installed this, correct? Are we going out?
That's right.
Are we attempting to go out to any other companies to get quotes?
I think- yeah.
Go ahead, Jeannie.
Oh, I was just going to say that I think it was Tim's feeling, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, that they were the ones who installed it because it's such a significant investment for the town that we want the people who installed it taking care of it for the first 5 years. Is that right, Tim?
That's correct. It's over $550,000 worth of equipment. So you'll see if you go through the agreement, you'll see the different schedules and whatnot. And I think it's really important as we sort of break in the building and make sure there is, some warranty. But this covers all the servicing and making sure that it's operating efficiently. They have the ability to log in and look at our stats and monitor the equipment. We need to make sure that we match the service to the in effect to the value of the equipment and the work that's gone into it. And there's no one better to service it, in my view, at this point than the people that originally installed it, and know of the ins and outs of that.
Okay, my intent would not, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, Tim and Jeannie, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't looking for something in addition to this, waiting for somebody else to add in there, waiting for another company to come in before we made the decision. I've read this already, so thank you.
So I think that Tim was hoping that the board would be able to look at that and sign off on it. So that's true.
When is the deadline for that, do you know? It said March 1st.
Tim?
Yeah, that would be nice if possible. If I would think that if you were not in agreement, that it would mean that we're going in a different route. either trying to have our public works group maintain it internally or find someone else. But whomever we would bring in, they're not going to have the institutional knowledge of the installation as these people do. And we've we've used them throughout this for a number of consultations on things for the engineering of this system. So there's a lot to it.
Go ahead, John.
Just, I haven't had the opportunity to look at it. Can we wait till next week?
I was gonna ask if we could wait till next week because Joe's not here and it's a significant
Yeah,
money.
absolutely. No, absolutely.
March 1st, I think, is when somewhere in there, I thought I read March 1st, so I guess that's when they plugged in the number, I guess. You okay with that, Peter, taking it up next week?
Yeah,
Gives us a
yeah, I'm
week
fine
to
with
look
it.
at. You okay with that?
I'll probably also have some other agreements for you. There are a number of other items that have the people that have installed the equipment that there'll be service contracts for various things. The generator being the largest one, probably the next largest. And as those come in, I'll have those in your board packet so you can review those ahead of time.
Yeah, can we get some information, excuse me,
Good.
on what we've budgeted for 2021 towards maintenance agreements too?
Yeah, so in the budget, I did put in for, I used Eckhart and Johnson's numbers. I also used for planning, these were for planning figures, their numbers for the first year contract. Also, ASNE, which is the distributor of the generator equipment. I used their figure for that because these were readily available for budgeting purposes, and I figured that more than likely they're going to be competitive with others. So they are in the budget.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Kim.
So I do have actually one more item. We have, the town report has gone to the printer. And Tim, I have one copy of it here. Tim wanted to be able to put it up on the website. I don't know how the board feels about that relative to the dedication. Tim, is there, I mean, we don't have to have this up until March 2nd, correct?
That's right. Yeah, we often would post it prior to that, but it's totally up to the board when you want to do it. And
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, that was it.
We typically give a copy to the person that the dedication and in memoriam to the families before we give the public copies, typically. That's the way it's been done in the past. If the board wants to change that, I'm fine with it. However you want to do it. Peter, you have something to say about it?
Oh, as soon as you can get it up is fine with me.
Yeah, if we can, we somehow, give it to them and let them know and then put it up.
So you give it,
Yeah.
so give
How
it
would
to the
that
first and then put it up. When will it come back from the printer?
Is that about 2 weeks, Tim?
We'll have it back on March 2nd, which is the date that it's due.
Oh. Is there a way that we could print a copy to give to that one person in dedication?
Or the page?
Because we usually do one copy to the person that's the dedication. If we could do that, I think that maybe that would be fine. Would
Yeah, we can, Tim, we can print out 2 original copies off the printer and
Of course, it just won't be as nicely bound or the color as vibrant as what'll come from the printer. That's all.
get that after the fact.
I mean, it's fine if you want to wait until the 2nd. I'm fine with that. I just wanted to know when it would be permissible. That's all.
a lot of people won't have enough time to peruse through it on March 2nd. You only have a couple of days before they're voting on our warrant articles and budget and everything else, because they like to look at it and compare it to what they're purchasing on the warrant articles and so on. So by the time they come, I'll pick it up.
Can you post it without the dedication and in memoriam pages?
Mm.
Anything's possible, but I'm having a sinking feeling. I don't know if it's my chair or having a furniture issue, repeatable furniture issue here. No, anything's possible. Anything you want to do. I would prefer to wait a little closer. It could be that we get the town report sooner. The printer has always said that we put our report together in such a way that they can practically just run it off, whereas other towns send bits and pieces and they have to do some of the assembly. So, so I think that we may see an improved delivery date, but it's not guaranteed.
So
But I'll
Tim,
do it.
are you saying now, oh, okay. Are you saying now that you'd prefer to wait?
I would say let's take a consensus here. Print out a couple of copies and give them to the respective in dedication. And then when the real copies come in, present them again. Or wait until the copies come in and then give them. There's option 1, option 2. John?
I'm fine with even just one page of it going to the person to let them know
Okay,
that they're gonna have it.
that's option 1. Okay.
I like that idea.
Option
I like the idea of just present a one page.
For
Okay.
them.
Peter?
One page sounds good. It's less work for Tim and Jeannie.
Okay. So if we can just get the dedication portion and get into the 3 people, then we're okay.
Okay, we can do that, or
Whatever's
is there a
easier for you.
selectman who wants to do that?
I'll volunteer to go down to Florida and drop off. Or wherever else, Texas and Montana.
No.
Okay, so I can bring the 1 or 2 around over the weekend or something, and maybe, you know, if printed off, I could pick up a little frame for it or something and present and tell them it's going to be official at town meeting.
Want to do that? That'd be nice. Take care of the local ones and then we can just mail them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that takes care of that. Anything else you have for us, Jean? Sure. 10 minutes.
Do you have anything, Tim?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Do we have anything from the public? Because we have 10 minutes before we open up the public hearing for the bond. Does anybody have any questions for the board? Or for Jeannie, because she's here?
Thank
Go ahead,
you.
John.
Okay, I'm gonna push it.
Yeah, how are we doing with the police station with getting things, you know, are they ready? I haven't been there for a while and the public keeps asking.
Tim and I are going over there routinely. Yesterday or the day before, DPW was there setting up the furniture that we had got donated. The 5 administrative offices have their tables, they've been built and installed. They look really nice, I think. Very, very nice. It's hard to tell what something looks like when it's in pieces, stacked up against a wall, but I think it's nice furniture. They are stripping and cleaning before the weekend the squad room, and then early next week, Kevin and his crew will go in and build the cubicles for the squad room. The dispatch furniture came in today. Well, I was there this morning. They were building that. Looks nice. It's really what a difference from last week. They're cleaning it up. They're working on the tile wall frame that's looking really nice. I think Rich and Sergeant Keeler were in the building the other day when I was there, checking locking mechanisms, and got a few different things squared away. I know Tim's been heavily involved, and Tim, you're listening, so jump in wherever you want, because he's been heavily involved in the IT and coordinating all the vendors and getting all that squared away. We're still scheduled. We're still on time to do the major move on the 23rd and the 24th. And it looks like, by the 25th, we should be good to go.
Nice.
In terms of the tech stuff, a lot of this stuff can't go in too early because of the dust and debris in the building. So right now is really all the surveillance is in and functional. The access controls are in functional, but not turned on yet, as we're working on the mapping right now with the officers and the groups, which that should be completed very shortly. The intrusion detection and there's numerous connections that have to be made to the dispatch console, because the dispatchers are able to control the exterior door locking mechanisms from dispatch. There's also the phone system that is in process. The server has been programmed for the new fiber connection, and the exterior, there's a number of exterior items that were being done, including the call box, or I shouldn't say call box, more like a doorbell, if you will, that someone can push. It rings into dispatch. Dispatch can view on the surveillance who's at the door and operate the door if need be. In terms of the networking, a lot of the networking equipment is in. We're still working on some of the connectivity up to Belknap Mountain for the radio communications, which actually travel via fiber up to Belknap Tower. And all the communications rack is in. We're about to switch over the radio recording device. We have a replacement server that's coming in for that. That will be done when we move the data servers and data firewalls, which is on the 23rd. The systems are being moved on the 24th. The copiers are being prepared and then moved on the 24th. And so a lot is happening this next week. And at the same time, in the old building, the generator is being decommissioned and removed on the 25th. The building is being cleaned on the 25th, and we're set to close on the building on the 26th, which the board had designated Selectman Fogg to be the signatory on that at the closing. So I don't have a time yet for that, and I'm not exactly sure how that's going to transpire electronically or otherwise, but we're in good shape. I just want to manage some expectations, though. There's a lot of moving parts to the technology that's in there. our push right now is to have the access controls loaded, which I just received back the mapping today, so that we can get the cards and fobs done so that they can move their evidence, which has to be done by officers only. And in order to do that, we need to have the access controls operational, locking off certain areas. So, so in short, I think we're about where we need to be. There've been a few bumps in the road. The audiovisual guys will be done Monday, or set to be done Monday. The telephone will be ongoing right through Thursday of next week. And but we currently have our fiber communications operational, and we have access to the systems that are there now. And we have a good plan is to bring all the technology in and bring it up as quickly as possible once we're in. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Tim.
Yep.
So we have a few minutes before the 6 o'clock.
Do you want me to read?
Well, what I was gonna say is I didn't know if Rich was on. I provided for you the one part of this report. I didn't, somewhere I got lost in email. Kevin, his other part of his report that he normally provides. I didn't know if he was on. It looks like he's there. If he wanted to give a verbal report, but I'm not hearing from him, so I guess not. So you have 2 or 3 minutes.
Quick question on the hearing. Do you want me to read the actual warrant article on the hearing before the hearing? Did everyone see the report that she talking about in his police report?
A minute.
Oh, there was one more thing before we open the public hearing I was supposed to bring up. Do we all want Catherine in her gang, and there's some people from the fire department to the crop this year? And already in the budget. Peter? Did I ask Peter?
You're in and out, Pat. I have no idea what you're saying.
Do we want Catherine to continue to do her magic in the planting in the trough?
And her daughter, sure.
I think she has some new Franklin seniors that would like to help as well.
Just curious, is this volunteer or appointment?
It's volunteer, but
As
I think
always,
there's
yeah.
like 50, there's a very small amount of flowers in the truck, in the budget.
Nice.
Eric,
Whatever she does, that looks good. So
yeah, it does,
Yeah.
okay.
Great job.
All right, we will open the public hearing for the Caleb Hill Road bond. I will read the article. This is on the warrant for March 13th, 2021. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,200,000 to participate in the state of New Hampshire Department of Transportation Municipality Managed State Highway Aid Program to reconstruct the following state road in the town of Tilton, Caleb Hill Road, and to authorize the issuance of not more than $3,200,000 of bonds or notes in accordance with the Municipal Finance Act, RSA 33, and authorize the Board of Selectmen to issue and negotiate such bonds or notes and to determine the rate of interest thereon, and to authorize the Board of Selectmen to apply for, accept, and spend any state or other aid that may become available for said project, provided, however, that the Board of Selectmen shall not be authorized to issue any bonds or notes unless and until the town has received a binding commitment for state aid for said project in the amount of at least equal to 2/3 of the total cost of the project. This appropriation is not included in the operating budget. The article is recommended by the Selectmen in the budget group. This time I'd like to turn this over and have Eric, if you would, explain the article.
So a couple of years ago, we had a bond issue come up before town, which was approved. And in a sense, the bond has lapsed because the state withdrew the project funding. And so there was nothing ever done. Recently, with the work of our state senator, Bob Guida, this project looks to get back onto state project list. And we are getting ready so that when that happens, we are ready to go and get this project funded.
So in effect, it's just a renewal, or if you will, refresh of the bond that that you had put forward in 2014.
In 2014, correct.
Yeah, it's a renewal of the bond.
Do we have questions from the audience? If you do, please state your name and then ask us your question.
This is Pat Clark. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Pat.
All right. How did you come up with the $3,200,000?
So, and Tim can feel free to jump in if he wants, but basically the original article, I think, was 2.67 or something to that effect. And we added a inflationary percentage. And I want to say that was, Tim, was that 5 or 7%?
No, it was higher than that. Originally, that was an estimate back in 2014, but there had been no engineering done at that point on the project. So, and with the fact that the warrant article had expired in 2019, this was an effort to make sure, because we don't have to bond that entire amount, but if you don't allow for enough to cover the cost, in other words, with 3.2 million, if it turns out to be still 2.6 million, obviously you can't bond more than what the project is valued at. It's just to make sure that because as far as I understand it, no additional work had been done to determine the costs of the road, and understanding that it is a complex road with the issues that have been talked about before. It just seemed as though that was a prudent way to go.
Right. So Tim, was it 10%? What was that percentage that we came up with? Do you recall?
I want to say it was closer to 20%.
Okay.
How was that arrived at? Pat Clark speaking again.
That was based off of the original numbers that we were given in 2014, some 7 years, or actually it would have been given in 2013, so some 8 years ago from DOT. But again, from as far as I understand it, no engineering had been done. The formal engineering had been done, but that was the estimate back then. So to make sure that there's enough money to cover the work, we went on the high side with the estimate, only because you need the authority up to a certain amount. So if the project is less, it would be bonded for less, it wouldn't be that much. And keep in mind that that even though we have to borrow the money up front, we're reimbursed by the state for 2/3 of the cost of the project, provided that that's the final agreement with the state. And so what we end up with in terms of a long-term debt is 1/3 of whatever the actual cost of that was, underneath the $3.2 million threshold.
Pat Clark again. You said 2/3, 1/3. I understood that it was 80/20 that we talked to the state and they agreed to go 80/20. Is that still in effect?
In 2014, it was an 80-20 split. In order for us to get the 80-20 split again, we would have to appeal to the executive council, which we will. But right now it's a 2/3, 1/3 split. We will go to the executive council and try to get the 80-20.
And if you do that, Pat, will the warrant be changed to reflect that?
I don't think you can change the bond money out. We'll have to ask the DRA about that one, because I don't think that you can change. We'll have to ask on that question, Pat. Jeannie can follow up on that one for the DRA purposes of the warrant article. This is the bonding of it. This is the financial end of it, not the actual work. So we can get that question answered for you.
I believe you're okay as long as it's less.
Okay, so Tim thinks
Aren't we bonding the entire project and then we get reimbursed? So 80-20, 67-33 won't matter, except on the annual payments is where it would kick in.
That's correct.
All right, you got a good point. Yes, you're right.
I do have a question.
Okay, Peter.
Selectman Fogg, at the completion of this project, what class road will Caleb Hill be? Will it remain class 2? Actually, that one's what, 5, because we plow? Is this the old try to dump it onto the town?
No.
Unless something has changed.
No. So when I know what you're going to say. I don't mean to cut you off, Jeannie. When we entered into this in 2014, the Board of Selectmen at the time were extremely adamant that when the project was finished, we were not going to take this road over to the state. We were not. We were not taking Clark, we were not taking Colby, and we were not taking Caleb. Now, if things have changed from 2014 to 2021, we shall see from the state. And Jean might have some more information than we know. But until that comes to the board, we won't know, right? But back in 2014, we made it very, very clear that we were not willing to take over Caleb Hill Road when the project was finished. Did you have something else to add to that, Jeannie?
I don't. My understanding of the 2/3, 1/3, and I think Tim and I were talking about this earlier today, because back when I was in the state senate, it was a bone of contention for me as well, because in Meredith, where I live, we have the same issue, and the state kept saying, we'll fix this road, but turned over to you and I kept saying no, and I lost that battle. So I don't know, I haven't been in for a few years, so I don't know if something's changed. I don't believe that it has. I've been talking back and forth with my contact at DOT, but I will follow up with Senator Gaida and see if he knows something I don't know. But, the information I'm getting is directly from my contact at DOT. And it's 2/3, 1/3, and the town takes it over. So to Peter's question about what class road it turns into, I would think that's a good question. I can check, Peter. I don't know. I would think that it would stay the same. It's just our responsibility.
Can I speak, Chuck Mitchell?
Sure, Chuck, go ahead.
Yeah, as a resident of the town of Tilton and a taxpayer and someone who lives on Caleb Hill Road, I strongly support this particular bond issue. It's proven that the shim coating or skim coating of these roads only lasts a year or two. And so I think we need to do this and just get it done.
Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate it. Anyone else would like to speak to this hearing?
Yeah, at the end of it, it can't stay class 5 because class 5 is state summer, town winter maintenance. So it would have to go to what the town roads would fall under. That's
class 5.
Oh, he's trying to talk.
Caller 1, are you trying to say something? Please state your name.
Hello?
Yes, could you
Hello?
please state your name?
My name is Sanders, Senator Sanders. I live on Caleb Hill Road.
Hi, Senator.
Do
Go ahead.
Hi, how you doing? My recollection is that, and I was involved in the first go around with this initially. And my recollection, although I don't have any paperwork in front of me right now, is that in order for the state to put up the money on these class 2 roads, they would require the town to take it over after they improved it. And I'm quite certain that that was the case back when the first bond issue was approved.
Yeah, I did, Selectman Constantino, I did send out to the board the contract from 2015, and it sent both the DOT letter and the contract that was sent from DOT, which you can take a look at. And I believe it probably has the answer in there.
Selectman Constantino.
Go ahead.
If you recall, prior to Caleb Hill, we had Silver Lake Church River, and they wanted to dump it back on the town, and we fought them, and on that we won. So that was the last
Right.
project completed. We won the battle on not taking the ownership. So we never reached it on Caleb Hill because it never went through.
Correct. And I believe that was in the contract as well, wasn't it, on the Silver Lake Road? That they wanted to take over, they wanted us to take over Silver Lake Road
Originally.
originally, right? Okay. Is there anybody else online that hasn't spoke that would like to speak to the public hearing?
Senator Sanders again? Am I still on here?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'm concerned about the amount of money in that it might not be enough in that the last time around it was only based on 20% of the supposed cost, but this time it's going to be based on 33% of the supposed cost. So, and that includes design and everything. So I'm just concerned that it might not be enough if we're going to go with that 1/3, 2/3. The other thing is that if we have the 1/3, 2/3 approved, and you go to the state and say, we really want to go 2080, the state's going to look at the warrant article and say, oh, well, I guess you've approved 1/3, 2/3, so we don't need to do that. Just a comment.
Okay, thank you, Senator. I don't know if you were here earlier when it was explained that it was 2.6 originally in 2014. The entire project was 2.6 something in, Tim, you can add to that, $2.6 million, and they added a percentage to that to bring it to $3.2 million just for the increase in a lot of the work that's going to be done.
That's right. It was, pardon me, it was in the agreement, it states $2,675,000 with 80% of that cost coming from the state aid highway funds, which was $2,140,000, and the remaining 20% from the sponsor, meaning the town, of $535,000. So whereas this was estimated, back in 13, 14, because the contract was, I believe, dated in the original contract was dated in 14, or approved by the governor and council in 2014. So looking at the number of years and the concern about inflation, we added 20% onto the original amount, which brought it up to 3.2 million.
Mm-hmm. So that's the total project cost.
That's the total project cost, and the town's portion would be a little over $1 million, so about $1,070,000, or $1,070,000. Yeah.
Just a concern that the indebtedness that the town is going to be in after the police station, and I don't know whether or not the fire district is going to be building a new building or not, but they certainly need it. So that's a concern for more indebtedness.
Certainly hear you on that one, Senator.
Yeah.
Thank you for your input. Is there anybody else that would like to?
Thank you.
Yes,
I'm
Pat
sorry.
Clark again. Is there any talk about getting federal money with any programs that Joe Biden is going after? Construction programs?
He is going to speak to that.
The email that I got back from DOT this afternoon said that this project is not a federal aid eligible project.
That was just this afternoon.
Yes.
Okay. That's too bad.
That's too bad.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak to the public hearing before I close it? Selectmen? Public? Thank you all for coming, and thank you for your comments. We will see you on March 13th to vote on this. I'm going to declare at 6:21 this public hearing closed on the bond audit. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, next up is other business. Is there any other business to come before us? Any in the public that would wish to bring anything up before the Board of Selectmen at this time? All right, hearing none, we're going to move on.
At this time, we're gonna enter into a non-public, time being 6:21. Like to make a motion to move into non-public per RSA 91A:3, hiring of any person as a public employee, and RSA 91:3, 2-1, consideration of legal advice provided by legal counsel, either in writing or orally, to one or more members of the public body, even when legal counsel is not present. We expect to be back into public session around maybe 7:15. Do I hear a second?
Ira, second.
Ira, second. Roll call vote, please. Bob,
Fog, yes.
Alan,
Yes. Ira, yes.
Constantino, yes. Public, we'll see you around 7:15.
Wait, I don't have to switch to another session.
Eh?
I said, I don't have to switch to another session. I'm already here. I know.
You have to switch to the non-public.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
No, but I'm just saying I don't normally.
right.
Um,
This conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to make a motion to this public at February 2021, because the reason specified in the
Final second.
discussion. Roll call vote.
Ben, Simon, yes.
Peter,
Fog, yes.
Constantine, yes. Okay, we are now in public session. Is there any more business to come before us? Are there any questions for the public? Linda? Linda, are you on there? Do you need to discuss anything with the board before we adjourn?
Yes, I am. I'm on.
Okay, you have a question for us?
No, I was just wondering, I tuned in late. Have you talked about the Caleb Hill Road project yet?
Yes, we did. That was the public hearing, and that was on the bond only. That was for the renewal of the bond. What kind of question do you have?
I'm just listening to any other comments. I just wanted to know what was going to be happening with that bond issue.
Eric, do you want to explain to me kind of briefly?
Sure. Back in 2014, the town approved the bond for the Caleb Hill project. That bond in a sense is expired. So we're renewing that bond because there's a new under Bob Guida, helping us get that back on track. So we're just trying to be ready for that when or if that comes along from the state.
Okay, you were breaking up on half of that, but so you're just waiting on the state now?
Right, so back in 2014, the town voted to bond for the road, and the state lost their funding, so we couldn't go ahead with the road project. Well, the bond is only good for 5 years, and it expired in 2019. We have Senator Guida has renewed interest and got it back into a project, back into the state for a project again. And we have to renew the bond back again. So now it's a warrant article, and once we pass it at town meeting, we can then be on the schedule to have the road repaired when it comes up. We'll have the bond already in place for the sort of kind of like a shovel-ready project.
So that's go through town meeting.
What, Frank?
That's go through town meeting.
It's at the town, you lost me. Frank, what I couldn't hear half of that.
So it has to go through town meeting again?
Yes, so this is just a public hearing for questions and answers, but it has to go through town meeting again to renew the bond.
Okay, I understand now. I didn't know how much in detail was gonna happen tonight.
Yeah,
So-
it only lasted about 20 minutes, and there was just Pat Clark, Chuck Mitchell, and Senator Sanders on the call. And they had a few questions. We answered their questions. But at town meeting, that's when we'll vote on the actual article.
Okay, I understand now. I just missed the beginning of your meeting. By the time I got on, it was during break in public private session. Okay, I appreciate your time, and I'll see you at the election and at town meeting.
Thank you, Linda. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Okay. Good night. Bye-bye.
Right.
Good night. Is there anybody else out there that would like to talk with the Board of Selectmen?
Oh, okay. I didn't know where it was.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Do we have a second?
Second, Scanlon.
There's a motion and a second. It's non-debatable. It is 8:31. We're adjourned. Thank you. Good night, Peter.
Good night.
All right.
Here.